这个故事如果你听起来不累，那么你的听力水平在生活中是完全够用的。要持续提升英文，记得点击订阅按钮。我们开始吧。
A storm is coming. The boat is small, and the water already feels cold around your feet. Long before maps were clear and time was counted by clocks, people learned hard lessons on rivers and seas. Boats were not tools for comfort, they were tools for survival. A boat meant food on the table, trade between towns, escape from danger, and sometimes a final hope when land was burning behind you. When people stepped onto a boat, they stepped into a shared future. The wood under their feet did not care about names, age, or plans. If the boat held, everyone had a chance. If it failed, no one was spared. In fishing villages, children grew up hearing the sound of waves before they learned to read. Men and women pushed small boats into the water before the sky changed color. The sea often looked friendly at first, wide and open, like it was offering help. Nets went out smoothly, jokes moved across the deck, and hands worked with easy rhythm. Then the wind could turn without warning. The surface of the water would tighten, dark lines would appear, and the boat would begin to rise and fall too fast. At that moment, fear did not belong to one person. It passed from face to face, breath to breath. One loose board meant danger for all, and one strong pull on a rope could save everyone. That was the real meaning of being in the same boat, because every choice reached farther than one body. The phrase grew quietly from moments like these. It was never planned or written down at first. It was spoken with wet clothes, sore backs, and tired eyes. Sailors used it when someone complained while others worked. Elders used it when young hands wanted to stop rowing too soon. The words were short, but the picture behind them was sharp. Same boat meant same water under the floor, and the same deep waiting below. There's an old river story that was told in many towns, changing names but keeping the truth. A long wooden boat carried farmers, traders, animals, and bags filled with grain. The river was calm near the shore, slow and wide, moving like it had all the time in the world. Halfway across, rain began upstream where no one could see it. The water level rose quickly, and the current pulled harder with every breath. The boat started to turn, not fast enough to flip, but slow enough to scare everyone. A man near the front tried to guard his bags, pushing others away to keep his space dry. Each bag stayed safe for a moment, but the weight dragged the side of the boat lower. Water spilled in, soaking feet and fear alike. A woman near the back screamed and threw her goods into the river. The sound of splashing shocked the others into action. One by one, they let go of what they owned to save what they were. The boat lifted just enough to survive. When they reached the far bank, hands were empty and bodies were shaking, but lungs were full of air. The man who held his bags the longest understood something that day, because the river taught him without mercy. Being in the same boat means sharing risk before sharing reward. the phrase also lived in darker places, far from open water and free choice. Prison boats moved slowly under heavy guard, carrying people who had no control over direction or speed. Chains tied ankles close, making every movement felt by another body. If one person fell, others were pulled with them. If one person cried out, fear traveled faster than sound. In those boats, the meaning of shared fate was carved deep into memory. Survival depended on silence at times, and on quiet help at other times. A cup of water passed hand to hand could mean another night of life. In that space, no one could pretend to stand alone. The boat decided the truth for everyone. As years passed, the words moved beyond water, but they never lost their shape. Workers used them underground, where the roof pressed close and light was weak. One broken support could end a shift forever. Farmers used them during long dry seasons, when clouds passed without giving rain. Families used them when money ran thin and choices grew smaller. The image stayed clear even without waves or wind. A shared problem always leads to a shared result, whether people accept it early or learn it too late. There was a sea battle story told among sailors who survived fire and smoke. A small ship took heavy damage after hours of fighting. Flames burned near the back, and thick smoke filled the narrow paths. Orders were shouted, then lost in noise and panic. A young sailor froze where he stood, eyes wide, breath locked in his chest. An older sailor grabbed his arm and pushed him forward toward the fire door. Heat burned skin, and air felt sharp in the lungs. Together they forced the door closed, cutting the fire from the rest of the ship. Pain followed them for weeks, but the ship stayed afloat, and the crew went home. Later, when fear had cooled, the young sailor asked why he was saved. The answer carried no drama, only truth, because if the ship sinks, everyone sinks with it. Small moments like these gave the phrase its power. A wave that nearly breaks the side of a boat. A rope that snaps and still holds just long enough. A hand that reaches out instead of pulling away. These moments were never loud, but they stayed alive in memory. They traveled through time because people recognized themselves inside them. The boat has changed shape over the years. It might look like a workplace where pressure builds quietly, or a classroom where the lesson feels heavier each day, or a home where bad news sits on the table longer than dinner. People sit in different rooms, hold different dreams, and walk different paths, but the floor can still move under everyone at once. When that happens, the old words return without effort, because they still fit the weight of the moment. Think about times when stress rose around you and there was no clear exit. A deadline came too fast, or a problem touched everyone no matter how hard they tried to avoid it. You looked around and saw others facing the same wall, breathing the same air, and waiting for the same answer. That quiet understanding, the sense that you are not alone in the pressure, is older than cities and deeper than roads. It comes from wooden boats cutting through dark water, and from the knowledge that when one person rows, the boat moves a little for everyone. Being in the same boat does not promise an easy ride or calm weather. It promises honesty about risk and connection. It reminds us that hiding helps no one, and that care shared at the right moment can change the ending. Waves will always come, because life never stays flat for long. The real question is not who the waves hit first, but whether we remember that the boat is shared, and that the shore is something reached together.
能以非母语者的身份专注学习到现在，这本身就是很棒的进步。真诚感谢你的观看。如果你觉得本期内容实用，点赞或留言让我知道你的想法，这对我持续创作非常重要。我们下期见。